card. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Taste of the League. My name is Felicia Jett, and I'm membership co-chair for the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. I am very pleased to be one of your hosts. Our meeting is being recorded, and all information is the private property of LWVMC. This evening, our focus is on our Natural Resources Action Team. Don Halston and Ruth Lawler, the League of Women Voters Manatee County Natural Resource Action Team chairs, will challenge you with poll questions about our local environment issues. We ask if you have any questions or comments during the program that you will use the chat, and we will have time later to address any of your questions or comments. We also ask that you stay muted during our presentation. To get our meeting started, I'm going to turn it over to Alice Newland, our president of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County, who will lead us in a toast. Please reach for your favorite beverage and join us in our toast. Alice?
Thank you. And today's toast is going to be to the web of life. So when I get through my preamble and I say, so join me in, raise your glasses and join me in the toast to the web of life. There was a time in Western-based understanding that man, and literally man, was considered the center of the universe, and resources were to be exploited in the easiest and cheapest way possible. There was always more. Science has taught us that man is pretty darn insignificant, and that we are only part of a dependent, interconnected web of life. What we do to one another and what we do to our planet matters. The League of Women Voters works with the understanding that our tiny, fragile planet and its web of life needs protecting. This not only includes assuring clean air, water, and habitat, but also protecting all the other links to this precious web of life. So raise your glasses and toast with me to the web of life.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you, Alice. So moving to our presentation, I'd like to introduce our presenters for tonight, Don and Ruth. Taking a step back, when our past chair for natural resources, Steve Murphy, moved north in early 2022, Don Halston and Ruth Lawler agreed to be co-chairs. Don Halston is a longtime League member and a retired attorney. She and her husband, Don, have owned a condo here since 2001. But became full-time Florida residents in 2021. Don joined the Manatee League of Women Voters in early 2020 and has made many wonderful friends through her involvement in the League here and elsewhere. She joined our Natural Resource Committee to learn more about local environmental and natural resource issues. Now, Ruth came to Manatee County as a toddler in 1951. She moved to Philadelphia in 1970, where she worked in her first career of design drafting. Ruth returned to Bradenton in 1978, sailing down the Intracoastal in a sailboat with her husband. How exciting. She became a full-time real estate agent in 1983, selling over 1,000 homes locally during her 35-year career. During this time, her involvement in the Manatee County community included numerous volunteer and nonprofit board positions. Her love of nature included retirement living for 7 years in a log cabin in Ocala National Forest, and she returned to Bradenton in 2018. I now turn it over to Don and Ruth.
Thank you, Felicia, for those nice introductions. The League of Women Voters, as you know, educates and advocates, and we in the Natural Resources team have been very active in both. We promote the protection of Manatee County's ecosystems and natural resources, as well as the need to address climate change. We often participate in environmental collaborations and Florida League initiatives to do this. The Natural Resources team, under the leadership of Alice Newland, began its work with United Solar Neighbors to co-sponsor the first local solar energy co-op. United Solar Neighbors then began to work with the Florida League to create solar co-ops throughout Florida. In 21-22, our team participated in another local solar co-op. And during the last legislative session, we joined others across the state to advocate against the net energy bill that was then vetoed by Governor DeSantis. We have and will invite local officials to learn about high performance buildings and fleet electrification through State League sponsored meetings. We are participating with the State League to collect petitions to put the proposed Florida Right to Clean and Healthy Water constitutional amendment on the ballot. Please join us in this important effort. Did you know that the National League of Women Voters has representatives to the UN and at COP27? The National League Climate Team shares information with us, and the representative updates are sent to us to keep us informed. Our team has also had many amazing speakers and educational presentations over the years. Our recent speakers who shared their knowledge and expertise are Dr. David Tomasco, who is the Executive Director of Sarasota Bay Estuary Program, Damon Moore, a restoration ecologist, Tim Rummage, a professor of environmental studies at Ringling College, and Joseph Monacia, the Southwest Florida Regional Director for the Right to Clean Water. Last year, we collaborated with a group of environmental and nonpartisan organizations to oppose the proposed Manatee County Comprehensive Plan changes. The changes would have stripped its protections for our mangroves and allowed seawalls and backfill and new developments at our shorelines. The proposal would not have only affected the 2 miles of Sarasota Bay shoreline at Aqua by the Bay development, but potentially any waterfront development in our county. Our combined citizen efforts led to a compromise improved plan revision that added environmentally sensitive to modify language from the peril of flood statute.
Thanks a lot, Dawn. Appreciate it.
As
Now
I said,
let's look. Yeah, we're good. Let's look at how our world environment is being affected by the destruction of natural habitats and of climate change. We're going to give you our first poll question right now. Data released in 2022 by the World Wildlife Fund states that animal populations worldwide have decreased on average by what percentage since 1970? So which of these 4 is correct? Please submit your answers now.
Okay, I think everybody in? I'm sharing the results. Can you see them?
Wow, we're pretty darn good. But you can see there's a lot of guesswork there. It's actually, the actual correct answer is 70%, which is kind of frightening. Humanity's destruction of wildlife and nature is seen by scientists as just as serious as the climate crisis, with some arguing a sixth mass okay, I'm not going to say it, is underway that will undermine the clean air, water, and food that civilization depends upon. Now, just think about this. Our current Manatee County population is over 412,000 right now, which is more than double from what it was in 1990, with no sign of it slowing down. When I was growing up in South Manatee County, can I close this or are we waiting for this? Okay, thank you. I didn't know I needed to close it. Our current Manatee, I did that. When I was growing up in South Manatee County in the 1950s, things were quite a bit different. We daily had an abundance of lightning bugs, dragonflies, numerous birds in our yard, many families of quails, baby quails running through our yard, eagles, bobcats, tremendous wildlife in this area. Now, our league encourages conservation land acquisition in Manatee County. In 2020, the citizens of Manatee County voted by 71.5% in favor of the Conservation and Parks Projects referendum for the acquisition, improvement, and management of Manatee County land. We presented a Hot Topics presentation 2020, Manatee County Land Acquisition Referendum, and we actively advocated for this measure in coordination with other local organizations. Our team continues to monitor the implementation of this county referendum by Environmental Lands Management and Acquisition Committee, known as LMAC, and the Board of County Commissioners. At its last meeting, LMAC voted to send 4 properties to the board for its consideration. Okay, Dawn, back to you.
Let's talk about water in Manatee County. Red tide is increasingly affects our waters as well as our health and our economy. And we should have a poll question popping up here.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble. It doesn't want me to, it keeps bringing up the old poll. Let
I
me see.
that.
Do you want me to read
Relaunch.
it? I can, do you
No,
want me to-
that's not the problem. The poll problem, the problem is it's stuck on the prior poll. It won't give me. the
Maybe,
next-
maybe someone didn't close it. You think that was it?
I've closed everything. I've shared, stopped sharing. I closed it. I've seen the options here. It says relaunch poll. Let me continue. But that's the same poll.
Right,
Do you want me to
No,
bring it
it's
up?
the
on
sa-
the-
It's the same poll that we just did.
right.
Right.
you-
Why
do
don't
you
we
want
have,
me to bring it up?
yes, why don't you put it up?
Yeah, Felicia, you're gonna need to put it up. I'll keep trying to make this work, but
Okay.
it's
Always
worked
technical.
beautifully
problems.
for one.
Oh, no, somehow my screen, I just lost it. Okay,
Let's see.
what
Can you
is
see
the,
the question?
What are the causes of red tide algal blooms? Check all that apply. So in your mind, check all that apply while I try to.
So we're mentally answering these questions.
now can we stop? Somehow I've lost my screen. Let's see.
Okay, so the
Okay.
answer is. Who's
All
answering? Dawn?
I'll be happy to answer it.
I
Are
know,
you good, Dawn?
the answer
'Cause I
is,
have-
the answer is all are correct.
Okay, great.
There, thank you. Now
You've got it?
yeah, I've got it. The blooms are caused by high concentrations of a plant-like microscopic organism known as Carina brevis and fed by nutrients. Key stimulants of red tide are nitrates and phosphorus from the sources mentioned in the poll question, as well as regionally by the recent Piney Point releases. Another high priority water issue is maintaining our fresh water supply. We in Florida are taking out more water than nature can replace. We are drawing down on our aquifers. In Manatee County, we are blessed to be surrounded by water, Gulf of Mexico, bay and estuaries, rivers, lakes, and streams. That also means we have a lot of water to protect. The panel of experts in our league's 2021 Hot Topics, Water, Water Everywhere, explained our county's freshwater sources and threats. This is available on our website. Did you know that Lake Manatee, created by a dam in the 60s, is the source of Manatee County's drinking water? Bradenton's drinking water comes in part from Lake Manatee, but as well as out the Evers Reservoir. Pending development plans are before the Board of Commissioners for the development of land in the Lake Manatee watershed. Developing natural or agricultural land outside the urban development boundary where Manatee County has not built out utilities to serve development will lead to more septic tanks rather than sewer hookups. This is detrimental to our water. We are currently in a busy time for natural resources, both at the local and on the state level. Recently, a local alert was sent to our members in cooperation with the Suncoast Waterkeepers regarding proposals to amend our county comprehensive plan and our land development code. The proposals would lessen or strip local protections for wetlands and buffers for our water-surrounded county. Our present local plan and code provisions are there to protect our water supply and our natural ecosystems. We need to let our commissioners know that we want them to keep the current plan and code provisions that protect our watersheds and wetlands. Meanwhile, state legislative proposals seek to weaken environmental protections and curtail citizens' ability to challenge the plan and code amendments. Please watch for our alerts and calls to action. Ruth?
Yeah, thank you so much. So we actually have another poll here, and I don't know if we'll be able to show it. Okay, that's great.
I figured it out.
Good. So the question is, what phosphate mining or activities currently exist in Manatee County? And there are actually 3 items and then another fourth one. So answer the correct question, please. How are we doing?
We're up to 11. I think that's probably about right. So 12. So I
Yeah.
will end the poll and share the results. There you go.
Well, that's pretty good, but not quite correct. The actual answer is all of the above. We actually have Wingate and Four Corners mining currently going on in Manatee County, as well as the Piney Point chip stacks. The eastern part of Manatee County is rich in phosphate, and there is significant mining there to produce phosphate fertilizer, but it also poses a serious threat to our environment because it pollutes our air, contaminates our water, and destroys invaluable wildlife habitat and leaves behind phosphate stacks like we have at Piney Point. Florida has 24 such phosphate stacks like Piney Point, with most concentrated in the mining areas in the central part of the state, not far from the west and north part of Manatee County. Over 30 million tons of this slightly radioactive waste is generated every year, according to Florida Industrial and Phosphate Research Institute. The byproducts of that wind up in gyp stacks, have few uses acceptable to federal regulators. They can contain radioactive and toxic materials, according to the environmental group Manasota 88. Glenn Compton, who is chairman of Manasota 88, is quoted saying, "Phosphate companies have had over 70 years to figure out a way to dispose of radioactive gypsum waste in an acceptable manner, but they have yet to do so." Over Piney Point's history, our team has monitored and communicated with public and League of Women Voters Florida on the Piney Point leak, actually numerous leaks, its background, and the implementation of the proposed solution, and on the federal lawsuit filed by Suncoast Waterkeepers and others. Dawn, over to you, my friend.
Thank you. Our fourth question. But first, some of you may remember in the movie The Graduate, when Mr. McGuire says to Benjamin, "I want to say just one word to you. Are you listening?" Benjamin says, "Yes, sir." Plastics. Since 1967, plastics are indeed everywhere. Over 35 million tons of plastics are generated in the USA every year, yet what percentage is recycled? The first is 5.3%, second to 8.4%, third 10.8%, and the fourth 15.5%.
Okay, we're still getting the answers.
Okay, good.
I think we're about, 13, good. All
Yay.
right, I'm gonna end the poll and share the results.
All right. I think
Interesting.
the recent news that tells us the difficulties of recycling is evidenced in our 54% there. The correct answer that we found was 8.4%. Many of you may not know, but turtles eat jellyfish. And what does a plastic bag look like in the water? A jellyfish. A few facts about plastics. Over 99% of plastic is made from chemicals sourced from fossil fuels. The fossil fuel and plastic industries are deeply connected. While some plastics are reusable or recyclable, packaging and thicker plastic items are not. Plastic can take anywhere from 20 to 500 years to decompose, depending on the material's structure and environmental factors such as sunlight exposure. The Bradenton Public Works Director spoke with us last June about the revised Bradenton Recycling Program and their efforts to address the current challenges of recycling. Our league hot topics called Plastics, Recycling is Not Enough is also available on our website's video page.
Okay, thank you. So during COVID, we learned to meet remotely in so many ways. Today, many members and speakers prefer remote meetings for their convenience and to save energy. Yet we also want to get together and meet in person. In this past December 2022, our committee had an outing at Perico Preserve led by master naturalist Alice Newland. It was rewarding to meet personally, walk together, and to observe one of Manatee County's preserves while learning why and how it was designed for habitat and wildlife preservations. So through that experience and that discussion, we were very curious. And this isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer, but we're really curious. How many Manatee County preserve and environmental sites would you want to visit? And there really is no wrong answer. And we'd love to see if you're interested in any or all or multiple ones. And you can also put in chat other places that you might be aware of where you might want to visit.
Ruth, I'm really sorry I set this up as one answer.
Oh,
Sorry. Pick one.
Okay, so in other words, can people answer or not?
They can answer, they just can't do two. They can, they.
Oh,
have to
okay.
pick.
So just answer your biggest preference and you can add others in chat.
Your
How's that sound?
very favorite one.
Your favorite one. And some of you might not even know what these places are. So that's a good reason to check them. Yeah, we should have filled you in on that, Alice. We were looking for as many as they want to see.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
our fault. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're up to 12.
That's good.
I think that's it. There we go.
Oh, wow. We've got some good one. Oh, people are into
Why
hiking.
it takes the top. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is really good. That's beautiful area. Very open, well preserved. Okay.
I like
Okay. I like to do all of them okay, that's great. So please join and participate in our team to help educate and advocate for our natural resources. The Natural Resources team meets monthly, typically on the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. via Zoom, or as appropriate when in person. For our April meeting, our League of Women Voters Manatee annual meeting is on Earth Day, April 22nd, and Debbie Osborne, the director of Land Protection for Conservation Foundation of Gulf Coast, is going to be the guest speaker. Really going to be worth hearing. So please come to meet your fellow leaguers and to hear her talk about land conservation. And I'm sure if you haven't seen the link yet, it will be sent again. But come learn with us and help us bring about positive change. We encourage our members to attend the April 20th Board of County Commissioners meeting, which is always an adventure, and to advocate to defeat any proposed amendments that could weaken our comp plan or code protections that could permanently damage our water. And the other question is, have you yet signed the petition to place a constitutional amendment for right to clean water on the 2024 ballot? So join us in signing and also in gathering petitions. That's really a wonderful initiative. Protecting our natural resources is important work because in many situations, once it's gone, it is gone. If cleanups are attempted, these are multiple times more expensive than doing it right the first time. So please follow our programs, spread the word. We really would, we appreciate your participation. I'm going to say one more thing here. One of my favorite quotes, and this is from the author Wendell Berry: "The earth is what we all have in common." Okay, over to you, ladies.
Any questions?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Any questions? That was what I was supposed to say. If there's questions, please put them in chat or raise your hand and we'll.
Yeah, I have, there's a comment here from Gail Conley, and I'm on a nature walk this Saturday morning at Little Manatee State Park. And
Yes.
she says it's a great site to walk.
It is.
Also, Susie Copeland says this is very informative. A question came in about clean recycling versus dirty recycling. Can you talk to us about that and the value of that, and what problems are created by putting dirty containers and things like that in your recycling?
I'd be happy to answer that. And that's something that we learned a lot about when we had the City of Bradenton Public Works head speak with us. When there was curbside recycling only, a lot of people treated it kind of as a trash can. They think, okay, this is recyclable. But if you don't wash out those cans and containers and it gets into the batch, they throw out the whole batch because they can't sort through it. So actually the city of Bradenton is getting many tons more clean recycling now than they did with curbside recycling, because they have 11 bins around the city that you can take your recycling to. So they're getting more clean recycling, many tons more, even though it's not as convenient. You have to take it to the nearest bin that's in your neighborhood or near your neighborhood.
And then I believe in the county, if we are told that if we put dirty things like pizza boxes, there's things, if you pollute the what they call pollute the waste stream, if you have things in there that are dirty, then they'll look at that bin and they make it go to the garbage.
Yeah, which is a shame. And they have to pay to take it to the landfill in addition to that.
Yes.
And
And-
then go ahead. Could you talk about composting?
Oh, Ruth wants to talk about compost.
She knows I've got many healthy worms in my compost bin. Yes, composting is a wonderful way to make some very rich soil that you can use for potting or whatever you want to use. But what it does is it keeps your food waste from going into the garbage. And when it goes to the landfill, when it decomposes, it actually emits methane gas. So if you use compost, make compost instead by having a place in your yard where you can keep it safe and away from critters. You're going to generate rich soil, you're going to have earthworms, and you're not going to be emitting methane gas. So yeah, it's a win-win all the way around.
Do you know if there's going to be any conversation right now in certain states? They have composting, recycling, and then they also have trash. Is that a conversation? Does anyone know in this particular county about composting?
I
Being
don't know.
added-
They've had a lot of programs through the extension service on composting.
Right,
So
right.
anybody, I would encourage anybody. The Manatee County of Extension has, I mean, if you want to be Earth Mother or Earth Father, they got the programs. They teach you how to plant things. They teach you how to compost. They teach you how to make your house energy efficient. They teach you irrigation that's efficient. So I would definitely encourage you to get on their website and get on their mailing list, their emailing list, because they'll send you about those. And even another fun thing is they always have these farm tours.
Yes.
You get on
Yeah.
the bus and you go to all these farms and they tell you all about farming in Manatee County. But all those things, the composting, the growing the Florida friendly gardening, all of that, they have programs that, one-day programs you can take, and they're great.
Yeah, I actually think there is a composting program coming up pretty soon, within the next several weeks or so. They're wonderful people, and they really give a lot of good information for free, most of it.
Mary Collins makes a statement. The health department in Bradenton has a few community compost bins located on their campus near the community garden. And Lucia Calloway asks, what's their website?
I think Lucia might be talking about the county extension service.
I am. You're absolutely right. I'm talking about the extension service.
Yeah, no, I think Lucia wants the website for the extension service.
I
So
don't
I'll
know.
try to get it. And Lucia, I know your email, so I'll send it to you if I don't get it before the end.
And then Alice.
Okay,
brought up-
thank you. Thank you, Alice.
Alice brought up, I'd like to mention the letter from Damon Moore, President, Manatee Fish and Game Association, about the comp plan changes.
Yeah, now Damon Moore has been a long time employee of Manatee County, fabulous person. He was the lead. He managed the whole Perico Bay where we had the walk. The Perico
Preserve.
Preserve. And he is now works in a consulting firm, but he's also president. And he wrote
Of the fishing game.
a letter making, I'm just going to put one of his conclusion sentences, but basically what he's saying is a minimum is the 50-foot buffer. And it'd be better at 75. They want to take it down to 15. And basically, he's saying, number one, it's going to be a lot more expensive to do that cleanup with red tide and all the other pollutants that are going to be kicked off by the runoff and then from them. So what they want to do is go to the state one. I will try to get that and
We can share the letter.
yeah, there will be additional alerts and additional awareness of the meetings that they have. There's a lot of concern about this change, because if this change goes through, you know, you're going to have to clean up. And what he's saying is your county is going to pay more. Your county is going to pay more because you're going to have to do all these cleanups, these mitigations, and on its face, the taking out of the wetlands, the removal of the wetlands, if you do this, is against regulations.
I think there's also out there information, a lot of our waters are impaired. So if anything, we should be concerned more about
Go
buffers.
the other way.
And
Thank
not-
you, Ginger. Ginger just put in the extension
that.
website. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and just to give you an idea, when I was a kid, we'd go to the beach, as we all do. We love the beach. We had thousands of cocanas at the shoreline, and we had little, what we called sand crabs, fiddler crabs, little fish in the water right at the beach every single time in pristine water. I haven't seen a cocana at the beach at the shoreline in a long time.
I do.
Right, so I just wanted to bring back up that question, Ruth and Dawn, that we talked about at rehearsal, which was the big green blob coming towards the state of Florida. Ruth, you sort of answered that beautifully. What can you say about that?
Well, what we do know is that is not red tide, that is seaweed, which is different, but it is also a problem. It comes in off the Atlantic, and it comes into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's huge, and it obviously goes up on the shores. But what happens is when it goes up on the shores, it rots, it creates a mess, it smells like rotten eggs. It isn't as toxic per se as red tide, but the quantity of it, yeah, all the communities that have beaches, they're going to have some massive cleanups going on. And we do expect to get some here.
I think that Cheryl, you should share what you saw from the plane.
Oh, yeah, I was flying
Yeah,
in
please.
just the other day, and we were at 17,000 feet, and you could see this massive green glob from Louisiana all the way down to the bottom of the pan, down to the tip of the Keys there, and it was frightening. It looked like a sci-fi movie. But anyway, thank you for addressing that again. And that's our time for questions. Any more? Put them in there and we'll bring them up again. Thank you. Back to Felicia or Alice.
It's Felicia. Felicia's going to be talking about the community event. And she's also going to talk about the biennial Florida League of Women Voters meeting. Felicia, are you front and center there? I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint with pictures.
I don't see her.
Oh my. All right, I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint with pictures and talk and take her place at this moment.
Her Wi-Fi must have gone out or something. I don't know.
Could be, or some emergency came up, whatever. So the community event was Felicia and Elena from Sarasota did it. People really loved it. They had a great time. Lots of ideas you can see were exchanged. And we did oh, look, there's Ruth.
Oh, we can't
And-
see any
We have
pictures.
seen the pictures, but you're only seeing it.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my goodness. I didn't do a share. I just went to it. Let me go to it again. Okay, and start over from the beginning. Well, it's there is now we'll start. Felicia and Elena from Sarasota, Robin, our communications person, and Lisa from Anitos Now. There's Ruth. And so we were in these groups. We did brainstorming about just what were ideas and what would we like to see. After the initial program and a video, and then every group had a speaker and shared their presentation. Now, here's one contact that was made. This gentleman here is in Minnesota Haitian Connection, and we will be doing voter registration and voter education at a really wonderful event there. So there was a lot of sharing going on, a lot of camaraderie, and the survey itself, I'm not going to bring it up, but I will just say that 100% of the people said they would do it again and that they wanted to do it again. There were some suggestions, but nothing nothing earth-shattering. So I'm going to stop that share. Now, Felicia was going to talk about our biennial meeting. So I'm not prepared, but I'll talk about it unprepared. We have in June our every other year state convention. And this year it's in Orlando, which is great because we can get there easily. And you would, if you are a member, you would have already received information in your email. If you are a member and you did not, about programs to respond to, the local program things, very similar to what we sent you. So if you're a member and you did not get what we sent you for our annual meeting, these are the things you're going to be voting on, let me know. And that you can send a president@lwvmanatee.org or info@lwmanatee.org. We encourage people, members, to go to these conventions. And part of encouraging them is that we pay your registration. So it's hundreds of dollars for the program. It's multiple days, and we pay for that. And to encourage you to be a board member, if you're a board member, you get half your room paid for. And if I room with somebody, everything's paid for. You make so many connections. They have so many programs, and you learn so much at those. I really encourage you to go to it. It's right at the beginning. I know both. I am going. I know Ruth Heronchar, who is our vice president, is going, who will hopefully be elected to be a co-president. And you set the program for the state too. So more than likely you will be a delegate and you will vote. So you're going to go through these materials and learn more about the positions that the league is taking, its background and all of that. So that's great. We also, Felicia's on the state board, so she probably would have done it better than me, but hey, if she's not here, she's not here. Now, as far as our annual meeting, we really want everybody to come, and this is not just members. Bring friends, prospective members, people that just want to see the program, as you were already encouraged to do in the program, because it's Earth Day on our annual meeting. So that if let me go to home page here. If we go to the home page, leafing through, this is going to leaf by. You can just click on it And if you say, geez, I don't remember getting anything, down here is the links to the Eventbrites where you can register, or a registration form where you can fill in your information. If you've registered through a credit card, it gives you no ability. Oh, I think there was a way and I didn't put it in, duh. We don't have the ability now to ask what meal you want, whether you want Atlantic salmon salad, chicken parmesan, or a garden quiche. So send that to info@LWV Manatee. Also on the home, I put it in voter information, election information. But what I was talking about for our meeting right here in voter information, if you click on that, it's going to give you, we're going to vote on the bylaws. There's significant changes in the bylaws. We're going to vote on our local program, which hasn't changed, but it's a good program. We're going to vote on a proposed budget and a proposed slate of board members and appointments. So check those out. These are not set in stone now, so that if you want to bring up and say, I would like to be vice president, we could work on that. So that's where that is. There was a question earlier, as long as I have this up, about where the videos are. So if you go to advocacy on the top menu and you go down to videos, that is going to bring you to a web page. Now, you're probably going to have to go to a sub page, because we have, these are the taste meetings, these are the hot topics and League of Women Voters presentations, and here's our training program. So we've had some, except for Run for Local Office, which has a bunch of supplemental information. So we've had implicit bias, LGBTQ training, and we've had recently the land use planning and development training. So that's that. I am going to stop the share. So when the information comes out, so please come to our annual meeting, and when the information comes out, please consider going to our Florida annual meeting. It really is that chance to really get in and understand and actually vote. On the national one, Ruth and I were comparing notes and comparing notes and comparing notes about how should we vote on this? How should we vote on that? So what are some of the things coming up? Well, first of all, there's just a lot of stuff that is happening now legislatively. So look for those action alerts. It's hard for us to get them out. So look for the state ones as well as the local ones, because we may not boost the state one. But really big for this county is exactly that comprehensive plan change. That's important, because once they start, the developers start building with a 15-foot buffer on our water sources, and it's just going to be a lot more cleanup and a lot more expensive and a lot more nitrates going into the water. When you join, you get a selection of committees, and it's like, what are you interested in? When you mark off something, we put that in a spreadsheet, and you get emailed notice of, this is what is coming up, this is what we're covering, here's the notes afterwards. If you want to stay informed, don't worry about whether or not you can make that meeting, or you ever intend to make a meeting, because you may just read the notes. So if you want to get those emails and you haven't selected one, info@lwvmanatee.org, and we will add you to that. And we add people who aren't members on occasion. So if it's a passion of yours. If you are a member, and I encourage you, if you are not a member, you see things you don't see if you're not a member. So some of those things are, for instance, we have events where we have tables. So we went recently to the LGBTQ Fest. We had a great time, and we were collecting petitions to get the water referendum on the ballot. We were handing out our lovely gifts. People love these bookmarks. We were, and we would hit all kinds of people, all kinds of booths. And I would encourage you to take part in those, get qualified to voter register, because you can do those. And we got one coming up. That person that I pointed out, the Minnesota Haitian connection, there is a Minnesota Haitian Flag Day celebration with music and food and everything else in Palmetto. It is, it's in April. And we are, I thought I wrote the date down, but I did not. We are going to be doing a tabling there. So come join us for that. And that was a connection we made there. There tomorrow is a lunch and learn that is going to go over the education and the state education and the state natural resources legislative proposals.
I didn't see that list. I thought it was the other three net priorities, but maybe.
Wait a minute, let me see here.
Judy Houston wasn't.
I have it up here. It is reproductive health. So it's going to be reproductive health. You do not have to be a member to attend that. It's at noon tomorrow. And again, if you, I'll throw a link into the notes so you can register. But you're going to get the state chairs talking about what those different pieces of legislation mean, how they're moving, and what we expect them to go. We were also contacted today by they are putting together a forum, a panel on House Bill 999. It's going to be April 22nd. That's a Saturday at 10:30. It's sponsored by the NAACP, ASALH, several African-American fraternities, and I think they're going to have some African-American sororities also. And they wanted a League of Women Voters speaker. So I arranged for them to get Dr. Jill, I always mix the names, Lewis Spencer, to speak. She's the state chair. She lives in Sarasota. She's a PhD in education. So she's a perfect fit. So I will send something out about that later. And if you're a member, you don't have to be a member. You've been getting notices about these coffees. They're fun. They're every other week. They're Wednesdays. We have a bunch more of names of people who have had felony convictions and they are not yet registered to vote, that offer them free legal assistance to help them regain, if they can, their we still have a bunch of these to do. So,
You do.
so there's one coming up on Manatee Avenue in just a little under 2 weeks at the Panera's there. And we can use people that want to slave over a hot pen, but we take almost an hour beforehand to socialize and have a good time. So that's the stuff that's in the works. And we've got, are there any more questions or?
Alicia's back.
I'm back.
Nice. Glad you
Oh,
made it.
Felicia, are you back?
Yes.
Too late. I took everything.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Well, you get to close us out now,
Oh,
Felicia.
okay.
Yeah, let
Your,
me.
your timing was perfect.
Thanks
Just in
to
time.
LPNL, right?
Yeah, I am also, before we part company here, I am putting, I spoke about the lunch and learn tomorrow to learn about the state legislation on those two really important issues. I just put the link in chat. So if you would like to register, copy that link, click on the bar and register and come hear about what's coming down the pipe. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. Thank you, Dawn and Ruth. Felicia, it's yours.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank everybody for attending today. I come back to just say, I hope you had a great time and we hope to see you at our next taste, which will be on June 22nd. And we will be talking about convention highlights. So I know that Alice probably talked to you about the convention. We hope you're interested in attending in Orlando. So June 22nd, we'll be giving highlights. So if you do go, we will have you as part of the presentation.
Cheerio.
So thanks, everybody.
Is that a promise or a threat?
No, that's a promise.
Thank you.
Well, good night.
Night. Thank you all.
Thank you. Great job, Don, Ruth.